mark scheme. So I always said, if you're writing an essay, part A versus part B. Part A, 10 marks, and they ask you to explain, right? Part B, 15 marks, they ask you to discuss. This is level 3 plus evaluation. Level 3 for having two sides: balance, content, context. You remember? Two sides. Content means your rigor. Context means something specific to the question. This one you all should know already by now. Okay. Then evaluation. But every lesson we should try to at least have a quick recap. Stand, context, and challenge to your analysis. So context is a double bonus, or it's a double penalty if you do not have context. Okay? Double bonus in the sense it gets you evaluation, it also helps you get closer to L3. What is under content? What are the four things? Yeah, definition, diagram, explanation, and examples. Okay? Well, part A is no balance, no evaluation. It is simply content and context. That is part A. Now, I can tell you that part A tends to be questions on causes or questions on consequences. Part B tends to be where you find questions on cures, policy solutions. And this should inform the way you revise, the way you study. Why? What do you think are the two sides when you talk about policies? Very good. The benefits and the drawbacks, the pros and cons. If you're not clear, just think of market failure. Okay. Benefits and the drawbacks. Causes. We don't really have two sides. We don't really dispute, oh, the cause of a recession is due to AD. Oh, it's not due to AD. We cannot dispute that. Neither can we dispute the consequences and say, hey, high unemployment can be a cause for celebration. Very hard. So they tend to be unidirectional, which means when you're answering questions on causes and consequences, the mark scheme is purely content and context. Okay? Like I said, it should inform the way you study. Now, for causes, it's content heavy. Why? Diagrams. Actual growth, potential growth, two diagrams already. Or you can combine them. Demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, you have diagrams. Cyclical unemployment, you have diagrams. So what do you need from your school notes? You need to know how to explain each shift. Your school notes will explain how demand pull happens with regard to a diagram. That whole chunk you have to go and memorize. Your school notes will also explain how recession happens, the reverse multiplier and so on. You have to memorize. It's a bit like microecons where you explain adjustment to equilibrium process. It's a bit like microecons where you explain externality diagrams. Must memorize lah, cannot use your own words. Okay? So explain shifts. This is what you take from school notes before you think of throwing them away. They're not that useless. This one useful. Okay? Okay? School notes are useful. They give you the foundations. Okay? Okay. Sure. Yeah, Amo? Yes. 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 If they ask you to explain, explain the likely cause, explain the likely causes of inflation. Yeah, then you, unless some case studies ask you to explain whether, if they ask you to explain whether, no choice, two sides. Two sides and a stand. I've seen that before. Case studies, 4 marks. Okay. Alright, okay. So, causes is content heavy because you can draw diagrams. You know what? Consequences is context heavy. Context, consequences, you don't really have diagrams, you know. If I ask you to explain why is a recession bad, you don't draw a diagram. You draw diagrams mainly for causes. You look through your notes for consequences, it's more of a list of points to memorize. Okay. How is it context heavy? Precisely because of VDT. The question can vary the direction, the dartboard, and the trend. Okay. Any questions? At least from here, I want you to see how